welcome back to the PCAS channel. Today we're going to be talking about what to expect when you're fostering a dog through Pasco Animal Services. So my name is Sarah Sukram and I'm going to walk you through some of the top things to look out for and what to expect when fostering a dog through Pasco Animal Services. So let's get into it. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you watch the other video that we filmed that goes through the different types of fostering we have. This video is more so what to expect now that you have signed up, you filled out the application, and you are ready to be a foster parent to one of our PCAS dogs. So today's video is going to be all about the next step and making sure that you're setting yourself and your home up for success while fostering a PCAS dog. Alright, so first we're going to just review really quickly the overview in regards to what to expect as a foster parent for PCAS with the Healthy Tails program. First, please understand that when you're fostering through us, that does mean that the animal is still county property. You're just caring for county property in your home. And we do expect that after the foster length of time is up, that the animal is returned on the day of surgery. So when you come to pick up your Healthy Tails pet, you will be given a surgery date, and that is the day that the foster ends. So when you drop off for surgery, that is when the foster is complete. Of course, unless you're interested in adopting, and then you can come back later that day and pick up your forever pet. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, typically your fostering for a Healthy Tails will be 14 to 20 days at most. Really, it's going to depend on the length of treatment that our veterinarian team have decided upon for that pet, as well as scheduling and making sure that we can find a surgery date that works for both our team as well as you. We do our foster surgeries on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're by appointment only. So when you come to pick up that pet for Healthy Tails, you will be given a surgery date that same day so that you can go ahead and put it in your calendar and be ready for that. Now, oftentimes we get asked, what if the animal isn't responding to the treatment, or what if the animal doesn't seem to be getting any better, or the symptoms seem to be getting worse? We always recommend that our fosters keep in communication with us. If you feel the pet needs to come in for a recheck before their surgery date, or you feel that they're not going to be well enough for their surgery, certainly bring the pet back, and we will maybe change the meds. Maybe they're not responding to a certain type of antibiotic. So we highly recommend that you keep that communication with us so that we're aware. The worst thing that can happen is that the dog is brought back on the day of surgery and we have to decline them for surgery again, and then potentially elongate their time at the shelter before they can find that forever home because we weren't aware that they were still experiencing symptoms or still not getting any better from the course of treatment that they were on. So very important to keep communication with us so that we're aware. We do our foster rechecks during the week, and they are not appointment necessary, so you can just come on in during our open hours. However, we do recommend that if you need to be seen by one of our members of our vet team, that you do that prior to 4 p.m. So now that you've gone through all of that fun stuff, you filled out the application, you've gotten a call saying that there's a dog that needs a Healthy Tails foster, and you're willing to help, that's awesome. You would just come down to the shelter and we'll start the foster process. So the first thing to be aware of is the majority of our dogs that we get at Pasco Animal Services are a pit mix, a mixed breed. So please make sure that you've already done your homework if you are allowed to have that type of animal in your neighborhood. Oftentimes there are HOA or apartment restrictions on the types of breeds or the weight of the dog that you can have in your home. So please make sure you've taken a look at that, and whenever we call to say that we have an animal ready for foster, make sure to ask those questions in advance so that you're aware and that you can make an informed decision as to yes or no if you're able to foster that pet. We are totally okay if it doesn't match the criteria into what you're looking for. We'd rather you say that up front. We certainly don't want to waste your time, and we certainly want to make sure that we can then move on to the next person that may be able to take that dog and get it out of the shelter as fast as possible. So once you've come down to the shelter and you're picking up your pet to take on foster, a couple things that we do offer at our shelter is any medication that dog is on, we will of course provide that to you. That is at no expense to our foster. Since it is a county property, we will provide the medications to take care of that pet. If we do have food that has been donated, we of course will provide any food as well. We can't guarantee that, however, so we do recommend that when we do call and offer an animal for fostering to your home, if food is a challenge, please make sure to voice that, and we can let you know if we have any available food in our food pantry or not. And if that sways your decision, that's totally okay as well. Again, just be upfront and make sure to ask us that, and we are happy to help with that. So we do ask that any foster parent have their own food. Of course, we do recommend that you have your own food and water bowls for your foster pet. So if you have any other pets at home, we do recommend that during the entire course of that fostering, so the 14 to 20 days, that you do keep your foster pet separate from any owned pets. This is very important for a lot of reasons. One, of course, is safety. The top reason that we have pets returned to the shelter is either through aggression from the owned pets that are territorial or the foster pet that is brought into that new situation. So if you're going to foster, please make sure that you are keeping your owned pets separate. With that said, we also recommend that your owned pets be current on all core vaccines, including rabies, prior to taking a foster pet into the home. This is just for their safety and their well-being. We do not provide any medical treatment or any medical advice or opinions on privately owned pets. So it's very important if you bring in a foster pet, you keep them quarantined, because if they are sick, say with upper respiratory infection, that is contagious even while being treated on medication. So if that's passed on to your own pets, you will need to take your pets to your own vet or wherever you take them to get them medically treated or to get them medications, because we unfortunately can't provide that. So very important to avoid that by keeping them separate during this time. All right, we also recommend that you have your own separate walking leash, that you can take the dog in and out when you take it for walks. Even if it's in your backyard, always recommend to keep it on a leash as you're walking it around. That's, again, just for the safety and well-being of the pet. Some of our dogs have been known to jump fences, and again, you're bringing them into a new environment. So it's very important that you keep control of that animal because it is county property. So we always recommend keeping it on a leash, walking it in the backyard when it goes to the bathroom, just for safety. Now, we do also ask that our fosters have the ability to transport the pet back and forth to the shelter as needed. So that could be for rechecks or the day of surgery. We want to make sure that the pet does have reliable transportation to and from. Like I said, we do our surgeries by appointment only. So it's very important that if you commit to fostering, that you are able to bring that pet in on the day when it's supposed to have its sterilization. All right, one of the other requirements we do say is patience and love. Our shelter pets come from a variety of different backgrounds and experiences to what brought them into our shelter care. And so we don't always know the history of what that pet has experienced prior to ending up at PCAS. So when you agree to take a foster dog, please make sure to practice some patience with them. They're coming into a new environment, lots of unknown smells, lots of unknown rules. Maybe they're not allowed on the couch, maybe they're not allowed in certain areas. If you have other pets, of course, they're gonna smell that and be aware of other pets in the area. So we do recommend patience and, of course, a lot of love. Anytime they can be out of their kennel and they get to enjoy a nice comfy dog bed or things like that, that's awesome. That's a huge win. So we want to make sure that you're practicing patience and, of course, providing a ton of love. Oftentimes our dogs will act differently when they are at a home environment versus at the shelter. So we will provide you with as much information as we know. However, once they're at your house, they may show different behavior, and that's okay. If it's something that you're not comfortable with, or they're showing signs of maybe being territorial or aggression, and you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. You are welcome to bring the animal back. Again, it is still county property, so if it's not right for you and your family, of course, bring the animal back, and we will find another foster home for it. That's totally all right. We want to make sure that you're safe. We want to make sure that the animal is safe, and we want to make sure that the experience is a positive one for both sides. Now, a few things from a recommendation standpoint. First, we recommend, highly recommend, to have a crate that can house that dog. At night, it's important to put the dog in a crate, or if you're not going to be home, we are not responsible for any damage that a PCAS dog does when it's off-site. So we highly recommend that you have a crate to put the dog in and house the dog when you're not able to keep your eyes on them. Sometimes dogs over time, as they're starting to feel better, maybe from their medications, their activity level is up, their energy level is up, and they start doing zoomies throughout your house, and next thing you know, they've knocked over a lampshade or things like that. So very important to keep your eyes on them, and if you're not able to, if you've got to step out, maybe go and run errands, things like that, that you're certainly putting them in a separate room, potentially crating them as well, just for the safety and well-being of that pet. All right, so we also get asked a lot when it comes to at night, where to house the pet. So if you have other pets, maybe your dog sleeps in bed with you, maybe you've got some cats, things like that, we do recommend that the dog is crated and set in a separate room so they stay separate from your pets. As mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that they stay separate from any of your privately owned pets during the course of the fostering. That is for the safety of your animals as well as the safety of our shelter pet. Maybe you've never had another dog around your own dog at home and you find out that your dog has aggression towards other dogs, or maybe your foster dog is not a fan of your cat, right? So the best thing to do is just to keep them separate the entire time. And of course, we recommend that at night, especially when you're going to sleep, keep them in a crate, keep them in a separate room away from your owned pets. Now we want to make sure that the animal is feeling comfortable while it's going into a new environment. Of course, it's going to be very exciting for you and you're going to want to show your foster pet everything around your house. I would recommend making sure that if you don't have pets that you walk around and perhaps dog-proof your house a little bit. Maybe if you've got small objects that could be ingested or any breakable items, that of course you pet-proof your house a little bit before bringing in one of our foster pets. I also recommend making sure that you have some enrichment items or some toys, little things that that's kind of their thing. So making it a positive experience to bring them into a new environment. Maybe you have a Kong for them, or maybe you have some chew toys, maybe a dog bed that is their safe space to go to. So having things like that, being able to provide those things makes it a little bit more of a calmer experience as they're being brought into a new environment for the first time. And lastly, some important things to remember. First, every dog is different. You may have fostered dogs in the past. You may have had several dogs that you've come in contact with. Please treat every dog as an individual. Not every dog is going to be housebroken. Not every dog is going to come out of their shell immediately. Not every dog will react the same when having a leash put on to go out for a walk. So please exercise patience and please make sure that you're treating every dog as an individual as they are, just like people. Next, as mentioned earlier, we are not responsible for any owned pets becoming sick from our shelter pets. So again, I can't reiterate this enough. Please keep your owned pets separate from any foster pets. If you absolutely have to do a meet and greet and you absolutely have to have the animals meet, we do recommend doing it in a neutral area. So perhaps getting a friend, a neighbor, if you have a significant other, to take your pet, bring them outside as you're holding on to the foster pet and keeping them on a leash and doing a meet and greet in a neutral area. Once that goes okay, maybe you can bring them into the backyard or an area keeping leash on again and let them meet each other before bringing them into the house. Your own pet will be territorial because that's their safe space. So please don't bring a foster pet and immediately bring them into your house and assume that the introduction will go well because it might not always be the case. So again, we recommend that you keep your owned pets separate from foster pets, but if they do have to meet, please do it in an outside neutral area first with leashes on, and then proceed from there. There's a lot of great resources online through Best Friends Animal Society, Maddie's Fund, in regards to how to do meet and greets properly, and we highly recommend you check those out so that way you're set up for success and you're not putting yourself, your own pets, or a foster pet into a predicament. All right, I hope that has answered a lot of questions as to what to expect and to set yourself up for success as you foster a PCAS pet. Hopefully this has really given you a lot of good information as you take that next step forward to foster through Healthy Tales program through PCAS. So we can't thank you enough. We hope that we see you soon at the shelter, and thank you again for being a foster.